So her first Ironman was last September, in September of '07, and she won that in Korea, qualified for Kona, went to Kona, only won that, and then she won Ironman Australia, followed that up with Ironman Germany, came back to Kona, and won that one as well. Please give it up for the two-time Ironman World Champion, Chrissie Wellington. So, that little button right there.
Thank you so much. Thanks for inviting me, Bob, and it's great. It's really, really great to be here in San Diego.
So Chrissie goes, you think anybody's going to show up? We're just calling them on like Thursday afternoon, and we're saying come to this on Friday. And she drove up, and she's thinking, there must be something else going on here.
It was a free pizza, I think, Bob.
It was a free pizza. Yeah. So Chrissie, we've chatted a number of times on the radio show, but for our folks here, tell us a little bit about growing up and what type of sports and things like that you were into growing up.
Yeah, I mean, I was always a sporty kid. I did a lot of sports recreationally and for the school, and I swam competitively, but, you know, I wasn't really renowned for my sporting prowess in the pool, and I just remember, you know, my times at the swimming club more for, you know, it being the venue for my first kiss rather than for, you know, any sporting achievement. But yeah, I was sporty. I was very active, but I think I channeled all my drive and determination and energy into my studies. I was really academic, and I wanted to do really well at school. So I think right up until I did my master's in 2000, that's what I channeled this kind of obsessive compulsive personality into, and it was, you know, I was a high achiever academically, and I wanted to succeed. So so up until 2000, I didn't really do any sport that competitively.
And academically, what were you into? I mean, what was your field of study?
International politics and economics, and I did my MA in international development, and that's been my passion for a very long time.
Just like most professional triathletes. Most, I think, are, you know, economic. So from there, you're in England, and you did a number of different trips. You spent some time in the United States. When did you first come to the United States?
You just want me to say the word beaver, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, when I was at university, in the summer holidays, I decided to come over and work in a day school in Boston, and it was called Beaver Country Day School. So I did spend some time at Beaver, and then I traveled across the States in 1996. Then I came back 1997 to do that, and then thereafter I came back quite a lot to the States. I worked for the government, so I was negotiating at the UN. So I came back to New York quite a bit.
Negotiating at the UN.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
And when did you go to Nepal?
Okay, so after I did my MA, I got a job working for the UK government as a policy advisor on international development policy. So I did that until 2004, but I got quite disillusioned with the job and pushing paper and really not having that much of an impact, I felt, on the ground. So I took a sabbatical, and then in September 2004, I went to live and work in Nepal. I was a jack of all trades. I was working for a development organization over there, managing water and sanitation projects.
And while you were there, tell us a little bit about, you know, the day-to-day, and you were riding around on your mountain bike at what, 13,000 feet? Yeah,
well, in 2004 in the UK, that's really when I first discovered triathlon. Okay. You know, an then age group friend that had raced in Cancun said, "Oh, Chrissie, you know, you can swim and you can run." At that point, I'd started run training. You should do triathlon. I said, I can't ride a bike. And she sold me her third-hand Peugeot, which I still have. And I had these toe clip pedals and did a couple of triathlons in 2004. And then I went to Nepal. So I didn't really have a lot of experience as any kind of biker, let alone a mountain biker, because I'm from Norfolk, which is totally flat. in the UK, and the biggest mountain is like a bridge. So I hadn't really mountain biked ever. So I got to Nepal, and really all I could do sports-wise was mountain bike. And there's a huge mountain biking community there, mainly Nepalis, and I saw it as a huge opportunity, A, to keep fit, and B, to find out a bit about the culture and meet local people and see some of the Kathmandu Valley. So every morning before work, which started at 9, but I kept pushing it back and found various excuses for being later and later and later. But I'd spend 2 hours biking around the Kathmandu Valley in the morning, and then on the weekends we'd just go on big overnight trips, put the backpacks on and just take off, and we'd be biking, anything, 7, 8 hours a day.
At what altitude were you guys up at?
Kathmandu's at 1,500 meters, so math's not my strong point, so you figure that out.
Yeah, that's pretty high.
Yeah, that's high, and we went higher. And then of a weekend we'd climb up to maybe 2,500, 3,000 meters, about 9,000 feet.
Right.
I think. But I got holidays. I worked for an organization, so I got regular holidays. And as part of one of those holidays, myself and a couple of friends decided to cycle across the Himalayas. So we flew to Lhasa, the capital of Tibet, and cycled back to Kathmandu. So that's over the Himalayas, 1,400 kilometers, on our bikes at 5,000 meters.
Right. Oh wow!
And we also cycled to Everest Base Camp on the north side. And I think it was then that I realized that I was stronger than everybody else.
Right. What gave you that idea? They were like still at the bottom of the mountain while you were up?
Yeah, that I was doing a lot of waiting at these mountain passes, And it was great. We did it as part of a team, but I did find that I was stronger. We had a couple of guys and some girls, and, I did find that I was stronger than everyone else. And that I had endurance. I just seemed to be able to go all day like a little Duracell bunny. Just keep going, and I never felt tired. And that was day in and day out. And some of the conditions were pretty horrendous. Sandstorms. It was freezing cold. At some points we'd be cycling in like 3 pairs of gloves, and once we had this sandstorm with like 90 kilometer an hour winds, so we were all dressed up with scarves all over our heads and little slits for our eyes. So that was pretty challenging, but I think it gave me some kind of strength as well. So
last year when we were giving you garbage about why come you're not wearing a visor? How come you're wearing black? She's just like, well, I was in Nepal up at 20,000 feet, and I was at 50-mile-an-hour winds in my face.
Yeah, this is
Ironman's not really that big a deal. It's not really, so it's sunny out. I don't wear a hat. Big deal. Get over it. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the conditions and the people that you met in Nepal while you were there.
Nepal's an absolutely fascinating, amazing place to be. It's a very difficult place to live. The poverty level is extremely high, and a lot of people are very desperate, and obviously that touched me very deeply. But culturally, the culture is so deep. Religion plays a huge part in their lives. It's the majority Hindu state, 90% Hindu, the rest are Buddhist.
Right.
But it's absolutely amazing. It's fascinating. It's colorful. The people are amazingly friendly. And because I worked for a Nepali development organization, I really felt that I learned as much as I possibly could about their culture. I ate Nepali food. I learned the Nepali dance. I lived with Nepalis. I cycled with them. And I did as much as I could to embrace the culture and not just be an expatriate that plonked themselves in the middle of Kathmandu. So, although I lived in Kathmandu, I did spend some time outside because I was managing, the project I was managing was actually in the conflict-affected area. There was a 10-year conflict, civil war in Nepal, which has thankfully ended, a couple of years ago now.
Right.